How's everybody doing? It feels really good out here. I just want to thank each and every one of you for holding off the rain. And if you could hold it off for like 5 more minutes, that'd be amazing. There's no point me going on very long here, mainly because my boss is right here and he doesn't like it when I go on for very long, so I won't. But let me just say, first of all, how wonderful it is to have you all here in the gut. I see Nick Whalen over there. How you doing, Nick? I see Chief Nacelle Joe. I see MP Ken McDonald. I see Premier Andrew Fiore. And could you please give a big kitty-vitty welcome? It's her first time in Newfoundland. The Minister of Public Works and Procurement, my dear friend, Anita Anand. Let me just say, and when people were worried about our ability to make sure that we had enough vaccines for every Canadian, that we had enough, that I could tell you, welcome, Prime Minister, to one of the safest places in the world. That was Minister Anita Anand, who went to great lengths to make sure that we had enough vaccines in this province and right across the country. Now, before I go any further, somebody who I think pretty soon is not going to need any more introductions, because I will only be introducing her as the Member of Parliament for St. John's East. All you need to know is that she has my mother's approval. My mother, Janet O'Regan, who's here, who taught her nursing at St. Clair's and said, I remember Joanne as a very quiet student. I don't know what happened to her. We are so fortunate to have such an excellent candidate in Joanne Thompson to take back St. John's East for us. She is committed, she is progressive, she gets things done. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Liberals, Newfoundlanders, and Labradorians, it is my pleasure to hand the mic to Joanne Thompson, the Member of Parliament, I hope, for St. John's East.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Isn't this what teamwork and partnerships look like? We have a lot of work to do, but you know, I look around and I see the support here, and I believe it's a time for change, and together we're going to do this. I am so honored to be here today, to be part of the Liberal campaign. I certainly will work to make sure that going forward there's a voice, a St. John's East Liberal voice at the table, so that the concerns and the issues of this riding is always present and heard. So please, in the next coming weeks, let's continue to build our momentum. Let's work together and let's turn this riding red. And yes, Mrs. O'Regan, I am a quiet person. It is my absolute pleasure, and I am humbled by the support, to welcome the leader of the Liberal Party, Justin Trudeau, to St. John's East, and thank you. A big St. John's East welcome.
Thank you so much, Joanne. Thank you for stepping up. You know, putting your name on a side, on a billboard, on a ballot. There we go. Not easy these days, particularly when there are such strong feelings out there amongst certain people. But the reality is we need good people to step up. We need good people to step up, not just in the crisis, but also to build a better future for us all. And that's why I'm so pleased to have Joanne Thompson by our side and as the next Member of Parliament for St. John's East. It's also an incredible pleasure to be here with Seamus O'Regan, who's been such a dear friend for a long, long time. What we've been able to accomplish these past 6 years is great. I know we've got even more to do over the coming years, and I'm counting on all of you to send back Seamus, Joanne, Ken McDonald, and well, Anita Anand in Oakville back to Ottawa. We need a full Liberal team to continue the work that we've been doing over these past many months of ending this pandemic, but more importantly, of building a better future for everyone. And the way we're going to do that is by leaning in, standing strong, and staying true to our values. But it also takes more than just a team. It takes leadership and partnership. And that's why I'm so glad to also welcome our friend and extraordinary partner, not just for Newfoundland and Labrador, but for all of Canada, Premier Andrew Furey. So great to have you here, Andrew. You know, Andrew stepped up in a big way when we decided we were going to move forward on childcare. He said from the very beginning, Newfoundland and Labrador is going to be there. Incredibly ambitious. The rest of the country going to be bringing in $10 childcare in 5 years. What did you manage to manage? 3? Is that it? 2 years. I hear 2 years. $10 a day childcare in 2 years. That's the kind of leadership the Newfoundland and Labrador has always demonstrated, and quite frankly, what we're going to continue to work on together right across the country. So thank you for being here, Andrew. Like Seamus said, I would be remiss, we'd all be remiss, if I didn't point out and give a huge thank you to, he called her the Minister of Procurement. She's actually the Minister of Vaccines, Anita Anand. Thank you, Anita. But not just vaccines. She worked incredibly hard to get PPE into the country in those first difficult months. Then she turned around and procured massive numbers of rapid tests that the provinces are using across the country. But where she really stepped up and our team really stepped up was on getting vaccines into Canada. And yes, there are now more than enough vaccines in Canada for everyone who wants to get vaccinated. Yes, and that means you, ma'am. There's enough vaccines for you over there as well, okay? Because vaccinations are the way we make it through this pandemic. We know how to get through a crisis is to be there for each other and lean on each other, and that's what Canadians did. They stepped up. You stepped up here in St. John's, one of the safest provinces in the entire country, because you handled this pandemic so incredibly well, because Newfoundlanders and Labradorians know how to be there for each other, like all Canadians, but you guys really set the bar. Stepping up on the front lines. I want to give a big shout out to Julia, who's an Eastern Health a nurse here in St. John's. Julia, you and your entire community of healthcare professionals stepped up in a huge way to keep people safe. And you know what? All of you did your part as well, because by staying safe, by caring for each other, by getting vaccinated, you keep people out of our health system. You keep people safe. So thank you for doing that. From the very beginning, depuis les débuts, les gens ont été là pour protéger nos aînés. We understood early on that the elderly, our elders, were so vulnerable to COVID-19, we needed to do everything we could to protect them, and people stepped up. But the reality is, there's still a community that is vulnerable to COVID-19 because they can't yet get vaccinated. Even though we have vaccines in, it's our kids under 12. Our kids under 12 can't get vaccinated yet, so they rely, like those for medical reasons can't get vaccinated, they rely on the rest of us to get our shots, to get vaccinated, to make sure we're protecting them. So please, if you haven't got vaccinated, get your shot. And if you have, talk to some people that you know, friends who haven't yet gotten their shot, and tell them that it's the right thing to do, because this is how we're going to end this pandemic once and for all. But just as Canadians had each other's backs during this pandemic, so did we as a government. We made a commitment to Canadians to step up and have your backs, and that's exactly what we've done. But in a pandemic, in a crisis, people show their true colors. They fold back on their values. And our values, as you know, since 2015, with supporting the most vulnerable, investing in Canadians, making sure we're fighting climate change, making sure we're there to build a better future for everyone. And that's exactly what we needed to do during this pandemic. And because Canadians stepped up for each other, we actually have the highest number of vaccinations in the world right now. Canada is leading on vaccinations. So that's why it's so disappointing to see in this pivotal election where, yes, we have to decide how we're going to end this pandemic for good, how we get through these final months, but also how we rebuild better, how we make sure that the lessons we learned, some of them very difficultly during this pandemic, carry us into a better and brighter future for all. And that means investing in childcare. That means continuing to invest in science and research. It means defending our seniors by more investments in long-term care. It means being there for young people and giving them the best opportunities they can. It means building a future in which there are better jobs, greener jobs, even as we transform our economy to be better for the environment while bringing everyone along. These are the things that we need to do. And as we look to that future, Erin O'Toole wants to take Canada back. Backwards is not the way to go. We need to move forward. We know that working together, building a better future is what it's all about. Erin O'Toole won't even tell us and won't even make sure all of his candidates are vaccinated. He won't make it mandatory to get vaccinated to go on a plane or a train. He's taking us in the wrong direction. And by the way, Andrew, he'd rip up the agreement for $10 a day childcare in this country. That's not what we need, not through this pandemic, not into the future. Alors, je suis très excité, mes amis, de l'opportunité que nous allons avoir de travailler ensemble dans les années à venir. Et je compte sur vous, ici à St. John's, à travers le pays, de vous impliquer, de vous faire entendre et d'élire Joanne Thompson. I'm counting on all of you to go knock doors, get out there, connect with your neighbors, talk about the future we're going to build, because this is a pivotal moment in the life of this country. And everyone, yes, even you, sir, needs your say. We need to be heard. People need to choose the path we're taking forward. And I know that we're going to move forward for everyone. Merci beaucoup tout le monde.